also want to thank Mary Benson from the council office, because she's the one that connected me with the Office of Community Beautification and has kind of goosed the people along when they needed to. So appreciate all the help from a variety of people.
Roger Klemm has grown a lot of plants for this, 600 plants.
I think there's like 700 and some odd plants in the plan, and with the exception of Nevins barberry, which is presumed extinct in the wild, I'm growing everything. So anyway,
it exists.
I've heard that there are a couple of individuals in undisclosed locations, and I would dearly love to get some seeds from those so that I can grow them through here.
They're endangered.
They're not making any seeds, though. It's one of the problems.
Well, the one in my yard is, and but I have other behonias in my yard, so they very well may be hybrids. So we'll see.
You get a cutting from yours, and we're planting up here by the one in the wild. Let's do a little cutting from it.
I've tried cuttings and they haven't worked. So I may need to try different times of the year, but
have you used the root stimulant or anything like that?
Yeah, I regularly do. And I've got lots of other things growing cutting. But what I found is that sometimes it's a time of year thing. So each plant has a different time of year that it wants to grow from cuttings. So what's right for one is not right for the other.
Right.
So,
we should consult with the Rancho Farm.
You can sign my name. Maybe you want shade on your work?
Doesn't really matter.
Okay.
So anyway, one of the things that's really, really, really important with native plants, they grow out on the hillsides. They don't grow in puddles. So the soil level in the container, you want to make sure that's at or hopefully a little bit above the soil level that you're planting it into. This is a slope, so things drain pretty well. So we can do a lot of adjusting once we plant. But if you plant it an inch too low, it's going to be in a puddle. When we get rain every day for a week in January, it's going to sit there and the stem is just going to rot because it runs out of air. So that's the very most important thing you can do when you put the plants in the ground is make sure they're a little bit high. It's always easy to pile dirt around them and pile mulch around them. Once it's too low, you can't fix it. These containers are fairly flexible, so you can kind of squeeze them a little bit and loosen up the soil. And then what I've done first of all is I've dug the hole the right size, the right depth, and I put it in there to measure so that I can see right there. Loosen it up, support the soil with your hand. The stem is not a handle. Don't treat it like that. You want to hold the root ball. And so I upend it, and then I find these ones kind of stick, and so you need to kind of poke through the bottom hole with your finger, just kind of push just get it started.
Stick or something.
Where there's a stick, if you're working with the little guys, the buckwheats, I've got a bolt that's the right size, so that can work here. Yeah.
Here you go, Roger.
So then
you knew that.
Any extra dirt goes in the hole. Some of these have really well developed roots, others do not. And
what do you use for planting mix for your seeds?
Later. Put it in. If when it goes in it's too deep, fill in and make sure that it's. So you always have to adjust to make sure that it's right. And this is about right. And then you fill in and pack it as you go, because you want to make good contact with between the soil. Thank you. And I always like to put a little bit of the native soil kind of on top and push it around so that way because the soil that's in the container is very loose and well draining, and it will absorb every single drop of water that falls on it. The soil around here is not as well draining, is not as absorbent, and so the water will kind of run off. If you have water coming into the soil in the pot and it can't go anywhere because that soil is saturated, the plant is going to get waterlogged, it will soggy, and it'll die. So I always try to cover the top of the pot soil with a little bit of the native soil, just to help it. Again, paying attention to drainage. Pardon? If you can, dig a little bit of a, and especially on the ones that are